Welcome to the Charity Stripe on the all-new Mightier 1090 AM, SoCal Sports Talk.
And now, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. We are live on the Charity Stripe podcast with your hosts, Alex, Josh, and Nick.
All right, we got a special one for you guys today. We got the king of the NBA block party, fellow Longhorn, the master and destroyer of Venmo trolls, and Nick.
And I don't know if you remember this, Myles, but Halloween, your freshman year, we ran the beer pong table together.
We did?
You and Joe Schwartz went around West Campus and found this random house party, and you and I played beer pong and ran it for 3 games.
Oh, so we were doing good then. We was rolling.
Oh, yes, sir.
That sounds like me. All right.
I was about to say my gut check reaction sounds like you were doing good and Nick's along for the ride and good vibes, just making sure the camaraderie and synergy between you and Jim and himself are good.
Just like a lot of people on West Campus, but my memory probably wasn't too good that night, so I'm just hoping that just kept it.
Yeah, every Halloween in West Campus, I always start with a shirt and finish with no shirt. So that's just generally how it
one
goes.
Of those.
I am that's Myles Turner, ladies and gents. He's with us today in the off season. How's the off season going, man? Any travel anywhere cool? We know you're a big traveler.
Yeah, bro. I've been traveling pretty much every week, bro. I've been to. I never really spent much time in Arizona. I spent time in Phoenix and Scottsdale towards the beginning of summer. I went from there I went to LA for about 2-3 weeks, and went to Vegas for a week of summer league. Then I went to Telluride, Colorado. I went to Missoula, Montana. That was cool. I just got back from Napa Valley.
Nice.
I started this offseason out in St. Bart's and St. Martin's. That was cool. I've definitely been an avid traveler. I've got a lot of work in with my rehab and whatnot, got my body back right. So it's been a good offseason.
Dude, that was one of my favorite things in the offseason. I'm so curious about that. You posted a photo of you right pretty much around when you got injured, and then your transformation working back into that. And it was just really open and candid. What was the thought process like going into that post where you were opening up like that in front of everybody? Were you a little nervous?
No, I wasn't nervous at all, man. I think, you signed up for a life of scrutiny when you get into this type of position. And I kind of wanted just to share my story in a sense, because I know a lot of people are going through a lot worse stuff than I am. And, to be, at this level and to have this type of following, to be able to share your own personal experiences, that resonates well with a lot of people. And, I've had a lot of people who, reach out to me via DMs and just say, hey, man, I really need to hear this. I really need to see this. And I appreciate it. I've had other players reach out to me and say, that's good stuff. I needed to see this for motivational purposes and whatnot. So for me posting that, it wasn't necessarily a thing I was doing for me. I was kind of posting it to, for other people to see that, maybe a professional athlete, but I'm human too. I go through it, and this age of mental health, everybody's talking about it. It's one of those things that I kind of wanted to get the ball rolling with it because, I was at the forefront of it. I was really going through it, when I first got the injury. That was the first time I've never missed the playoffs. First time I guess I missed that amount of games on the long stretch of the season. So it's definitely something wearing.
Yeah, I mean, everyone just looks at, when a guy gets injured, they just assume, okay, he's a professional athlete. He's got everything around him. He's going to be fine. They're going to work him through the rehab and he's going to come back A-okay. They're viewed as superhuman, and I'm sure you know that, but just kind of have that openness and really be like, yeah, I'm going through it too. And even the drinking aspect and all that, it was just so, and cause there's just non-athletes, there's people, just fans who also have that kind of stuff too, who do get injured and have a tough time coming back. So I really love that. We know you're a yoga guy too. I'm a fellow yogi as well. I'm big into the hot yoga, sweat out all the problems, just lay there. Sometimes I'll get to be too hot for me and I just lay on the floor in my sweatpants, but then usually I'm really with it. Is that something new, or have you always done that?
No, I've been doing yoga for probably 5 years now. Wow. I transitioned. The yoga I was doing before was called Ashtanga, but it was aerial Ashtanga. So I was doing the stuff in the straps where I was literally hanging from the ceiling and doing all sorts of different crazy poses. So it was like some Circus LA type stuff.
I was about to say Myles Turner and the Cirque du Soleil out here.
Yeah, no, was really cool just to push myself to push me on my limits, I would say, doing that. I kind of do the more traditional yoga, like the vinyasa flows, more yin classes, and just kind of just doing it for just a workout, body, mind, spirit, whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's so good it's just honestly, like, in this day and age in the mental health space, like, we're on our phones so much, and it's just automatically an hour. Even in workouts, sometimes you could be lifting and you could just pull up your phone. You could be on a run and pull up your phone. It is way too hot in the yoga studio to take out your phone. You're going to ruin that iPhone. It's just going to be so sweaty. It's crazy. But yeah, that's awesome, man.
Some of the other bigs in the league see that, like, what you're posting and the aerial stuff, and they're like, Myles, what are you doing? Like what's going on? It feels like something that's pretty unique for an NBA player to take part in.
Yeah, of course. People were just, looking at me as like, yo, like, what are you doing? Like, you should be in the weight room. You should be putting on muscle and this, and that. And it's like, yo, I'm a big, so I'm a very mobile big at that. So, when you play with all the extra weight on you, that's a lot more wear and tear and damage on your knees, your joints and whatnot, because you're just adding more pressure to it. Now, when you stretch them things out and you lengthen and strengthen your muscles, which yoga does in a sense, that leads to longevity. And that's kind of what my mindset was behind it. Because, I just know, like, genetically, I'm never going to be like just the bulkiest, like, dude. Like, I'm lean, I'm strong, but I'm not just going to be like your Dwight Howard, big shoulders and whatnot. It's just, that's just not the makeup of my game. And the way I play, the way I move, I got to be as mobile as possible. It's 6'11", 7 feet tall. And yoga is one of the things that's a beneficiary of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 7 foot in cowboy boots, man. That's what I always say. I always tell people that I'm 5'11" in cowboy boots, and
I got plenty of cowboy boots now. I got some coming in actually in the next couple of weeks.
Hell yeah, man! I always sell anybody I can on them. I'm from New York originally. I would roll back home and I'd be wearing them like off the plane, and my buddies would be like, "Dude, why are you wearing these things? Like, wear your Air Force Ones." I'm like, guys, trust me. I'm 5'11" now. People are looking at me different. I can kind of sniff 6 feet. It's really working at the bars with the ladies. And all my boys like, yeah, we're going to Nashville next week. Let us know where to get some, as if I know everywhere in America to go out.
You got to keep your Texas roots,
Oh, of course. Everywhere you go with it. A lot of pride.
You're talking about how you travel so much. I mean, will any city ever top Austin for you?
It's funny, bro. I actually just moved there. I set up home shop there, home base there. I'm going through some renovations and whatnot, so I haven't lived there as long as I would have liked to. But there's no place like Texas. Obviously I'm from here, but you just get everything. It's centrally located. You can travel easy. Just something for everybody, a different city for everybody. Like, it's anything you would think of is here. And I've traveled all over. I've traveled some of them, across the world. I've traveled here. Like, nothing just reminds me of Texas. So I love it down here.
Do you have a state count going? Have you been to all 50?
I haven't been to all 50. It's a goal of mine, though, just at least touch them all. I've never actually, I haven't been to like I've been to a lot of the Western states. I haven't been to a lot of the Eastern states or like some of the Northern states as well. So I'm trying to touch all those.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Hawaii and Alaska? You been out there before?
Hawaii, I really, really want to do Alaska in the summertime. I heard it's beautiful up there, and that's something that's actually on the bucket list. So we're going to get that done.
Yeah, Alaska's apparently beautiful. My whole family went. I got kind of canned out of that one. I don't know how it was like left off the list. I mean, they all went though, and they said it was amazing. But yeah, Maine's great too. If you could ever pop over to the Northeast, it's like it's beautiful in the summer, man. So worth it to go over there. But yeah, new head coach coming through. Toss grew up a Mavs fan.
Yeah, I'm a Dallasite, so I grew up a diehard Mavs fan. Was that your team growing up?
Yeah, sure was. I was always been a Mavericks fan, but when Kevin Durant started doing stuff with OKC, I followed the OKC Thunder a little more. I never necessarily claimed them, but that's the team I watched. Like, I guess most sense. But when the Mavericks had that championship run, really over the course of 2-3 years, that's when I followed them a little more closely. So I was definitely a Dallas guy.
And Rick was the coach, and now Rick is your head coach. Have you had a chance to talk a lot with him and just, has he really like grabbed a hold of the team and talked with everyone and started to kind of, work with you guys and plan things for the season?
Yeah. Actually, Rick's here in Dallas. He lives here in Dallas. His kids go to school here. So we actually were able to, and I'm currently here in Dallas, from off season. We actually been in the gym together, for a couple of weeks. And,
wow.
We got some good work in. We got some kind of good combo, but I think it's one of those things that once you get up to Indiana, that's when we're really going to get everything rolling. So I appreciate his time and appreciate the fact that he actually wanted to get in the gym with me and work with me in a sense. He's not have to do that, but he made it a focal part, a focal point to come in here and work with me.
Yeah. What's it like? I think you mentioned that just the scrutiny is there, right? If you're a professional basketball player, the people are going to talk about you. They're going to look at you under a microscope. Paul Millsap just got signed by the Nets, and obviously they've got a lot of big names on their team. Same thing with the Lakers. What is it like being on a team like the Pacers, who I would say, and we say on our show all the time, bunch of underrated guys, bunch of guys that aren't getting enough love that should be. What do y'all say to each other in the locker room? Are you paying attention to that? Is it just kind of like, it's out there, whatever media is going to say what they're going to say, let's just take care of business? What's the mindset like?
At the end of the day, bro, we're all NBA players, so everybody wants the best for themselves, and other teams have other philosophies with that. I think as a a pretty historically underrated franchise, we look at it that way. So it's like, of course, you're gonna get up to play like the bigger teams in a sense, but like, when you start looking at these teams down the stretch, like I honestly think those teams don't really start taking it serious till playoffs or the end of the season. So when you're playing them in season, it's more of like a tune-up. You're trying to just go at these guys, but I honestly don't think like they're taking that serious as you would think. And once you start getting towards the playoffs and everything starts ramping up a little bit, that's when those teams become elite, and that's when it starts to see like, oh, like this is a different level, of play. Mm-hmm. So you don't necessarily look at it as, oh man, this is unfair. Like they have all these guys, this and that. It's like, bro, like so I don't give a shit. Like I lace my shoes up just like he does. So I'm about to go out here and just hoop.
Yeah, I mean, I even think with the 2 first rounders that y'all took this year, like guys with massive chips on their shoulders, right? Like Chris is a guy that's older, and because of that, there's definitely like ageism that goes on in the NBA draft. And then a guy like IJ, who like people are just saying he's a rim runner, and it's like, no, I can do more than that. I can do more than protect the rim and catch lobs. So I imagine just like y'all have a big chip on your shoulder. So when you go and you're playing those quote unquote super teams, like you want to get them, and you're going to be prepared.
Most definitely. I think that's I like our 2 rookies too. I was down in Summer League. I was able to watch them play in person, and I think it's one of the things. Like I know when I was a rookie, I was thrown in the fire right away, and like there was no development. Like it's just go out there and play. And personally, I think that's the best way to do it. You go out there and you lick your wounds. You just play. You play through your mistakes. Hopefully, but at the time I had a head coach that allowed me to do that. I'm not exactly sure what Rick's philosophy is with younger guys and, draft picks and whatnot, but I think they can come in right away and make some sort of impact. And that's the only way to learn is through experience, the best teacher.
For sure. And I'm sure, you're probably excited to be kind of that veteran leader for them as well, where they can learn from. Who are some guys for you when you came into the league that you learned from when you got in as a rookie?
Yeah. So Jan Mahimni was like my first, I guess he was like my vet per se. He was on that championship team in Dallas as well. I really kind of just followed. I mean, I'm sure he knows it now, but like at the time, what I learned over time was the fact that as a rookie, I was watching everything that the older guys were doing. Like whether it was passively or I was just actually watching what they're doing. Like I just picked up on everything they did. And it was Jan, CJ Miles, another big one as well. He's here from the Dallas area. George Hill, he was one as well. And then being on the team with Paul George at the time when he's kind of ascending towards the stardom in a sense, he just got off those 2 Eastern Conference Finals appearances. I just kind of watched his work ethic and how he carried himself. So as I was getting older, now that I'm a veteran in this league, like it's on me to instill them that same work ethic or instill that same professional habits in these younger guys. Mm-hmm. So you can tell someone to do all you want to, but if you show them or if you actually lead the way in that sense, they're gonna fall in line. And I think that's the biggest philosophy of that.
Yeah, and like we said at the top, we're all Longhorns, and we had a Kispert on our show about a month ago, and we were just talking about like what it's like with the Gonzaga guys. What's it like with the Texas guys in the NBA? I mean, because like Jarrett plays the same position as you, obviously Mo plays the same spot as you. Like, are you also like kind of being a mentor to those guys as they're coming in, like either as well as the Pacers kids?
It's a little different, I would say, because once you go to separate franchises, you have certain guys that take you under your wing, like. For Jared, he got to go in there. He was with Kyrie. He was with, KD in a sense. He was with, he wasn't part of there with Harden, but he was here with all these guys that played at such a high level, So his philosophy or what he learned might be different than what I learned. I'm not taking away from any of my teammates and whatnot, but obviously there's levels to this basketball game,
Sure.
The level they played at wasn't necessarily the same time or the same caliber of the level of teammates that I had. So, then you have Jackson Hayes, like he goes to New Orleans and he's on a younger team not a lot of best on that team. So you have a whole bunch of guys that, are still trying to figure it out too. So of course his philosophy is gonna be a lot different than Jared's, mine, or Mo Bamba the same way. It was Orlando, another young developing team. So I think out of all the guys, me and Mo are probably the closest. Like we're the ones that we probably talk the most. But everybody else is kind of just like it's a mutual respect thing. We always show love. We'll say what's up to each other. But it's just there's a lot of horns in the league. Really, now that I think about it, just got TJ Augustine, PJ, KD. Yep. It's plenty. Corey Joseph, Avery Bradley. It's plenty.
Tristan Thompson. Can't forget about him. Yeah, man. Yeah, he's on the news every which way you learn. There's no off season for that guy.
It's funny because Tristan was one of the first ones that he really tried to make it a point to go at me when I first got in the league. Like he wasn't. Really? He doesn't talk like a lot of noise, but he's physical, right? So he would check me. And then it was a playoff series. I had a really big dunk against him. And I think that's when he finally earned some respect for me in a sense. Because when you come into this league, you have to take respect. Nobody cares what you did in college. I never would. So one thing one of my vets told me when I first got to the league was, I don't give a shit what you did in college. I don't even watch college basketball. I was like, everybody watches college basketball. What are you talking about? In the past 3 years, I watched the championship game, but that's it. It's it's not even that you just don't. It's two different levels of play. You don't watch college basketball, so you can have someone come in National Player of the Year. If that's don't give a shit about none of that, you got to earn your respect in this league.
With that being said, though, do you still, keep in touch with the organization of the Texas Longhorns basketball team? And do you still follow them? And what do you make of the new Chris Beard hire?
Yeah, I'm actually going down there on tomorrow. I'm gonna go meet with. So I know a lot of the coaches. Coach Ogden, he was on the staff when I was there. Coach Jarrence Howard, he recruited me at Kansas. And there's a few other people on the staff that I know as well. But I never met Chris Beard, so I'm actually gonna meet with him this weekend. Chop it. Guys on the team and just be around. So I live in Austin, so I just never had the chance to go out there and meet anybody yet because I've been here in Dallas all off season. So I definitely still keep in touch with the organization, with those guys because I follow Texas basketball. And I think we're actually gonna be pretty good this year.
Oh,
yeah, the state of our team is looking better than we have in a few years, and I think we also run a Texas football podcast called Horns Up, and it's with Quan Cosby. And he had just mentioned that Sarkisian has really put an emphasis on former players coming out to talk to the current players on the team and get back within the program and all the guys in the NFL kind of instilling some knowledge into these young guys. And I think it's really important. And I think with Beard being a Longhorn himself, I imagine that's something that he wants to do going forward as well, especially, with yourself living in Austin. And I know that KD comes back every now and then to talk to the guys, but I think that's something that's super important. I'm curious to see how you feel about that.
Well, I think that when I was there, Katie came and hooped with us one time, and he didn't give a big motivational speech or something like that. But it was kind of the same thing I go through that I alluded to earlier about being that vet and just watching everything. When I was there, when Katie was there, I just watched the way he carried himself in the gym. I watched the way he just demanded the ball when he played and this and this and that. And that's the type of stuff that you can't talk about. You got to see it. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to have former players there and coming back because that means they had a great time when they were at the university. It shows that they want to, they went there, they made it to the league, but they still want to come back because of the culture that was established there in a sense. You have situations where players don't come back, you maybe not think about it as a college athlete, but it's why aren't these guys coming back? Or why does nobody want to be here? There must have been some bad blood. There must have been something that went on.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's so important when you have these players come back just so you can see the support of the program and you see these guys are following you. When you're 18 years old in college and you have a KD, a Myles Turner, whoever saying knows your name or knows your game and is actually watching you, that does a lot for you.
It's dope.
Yeah.
It's huge for recruiting for sure.
Yeah. Do you follow Chet Holmgren? Because he's a big with crazy point skills. Are you buying that hype that he can really be one of these unicorn guys coming in to take over after he does his damage at Gonzaga?
Yes and no. You can't teach you can't teach height.
Yeah.
You can't teach he has in a sense, right? So he'll always have that. The ball skill, very impressive what he does. Bringing the ball to the floor, he's able to shoot the ball. His handle is very impressive. I will say that. But the biggest thing is there is levels to this basketball game. High school is one thing. One thing I learned my transition, the game is so much more physical, and in college, and it's so much faster. then it's even more physical when you get to summer league, even more physical in training camp, even more physical in preseason, season, yada, 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 yada. So it's one of those things where I think that he's going to be good. I don't know how fast he's going to be good, because I don't even know how much he weighs, but he looks like he's pretty frail. When you can't really get away with him, with just length and dunking over everybody in college as much as you would.
Thank you, man. I have nothing like prop humor. For those who can't say, I just held up a straw to Myles.
I actually really do like his game. I think that he's going to be good over time. He's got to put on more weight, just like anybody else coming in from college to the NBA. But he has all the intangibles.
Without obviously, being healthy is a point of emphasis, I'm sure, going forward for the season, taking care of your body, as it always is. Is there something specific that you're focused on this year that you're trying to add either to your offensive skill set or on the defensive side of the ball, or just like one thing you're focused on going into the year from a play standpoint?
Just the emphasis on being a two-way player. I think that everybody, at least by now, knows what I can do defensively. But I don't think
better.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying I'm gonna go out there like KD jacking a bunch of like threes, handling, but like there's a lot more to my game than what I've been able to show in the past. With Rick, Carlisle being an offensive coach, I think that it kind of fits perfectly for what I'm trying to do. So I'm obviously going to keep continuing on the up and up on defensive prowess, but at the same time, I got to keep on continuing to add to my offensive game and, show what I can do on that end. So just kind of improve my offense, improve my shooting percentages, be more consistent with that, and really just being more of a leader, man. I'm going on year 7 now. I'm the longest, tenured pacer, 25 years old. So it's just the fact that I think this organization, guys kind of look to me to, to lead in a sense. So, yeah.
That's crazy. You're the longest tenured pacer. You've been in the league 7 years and you're 25. Yeah. It's wild how that flies. I mean, I love the reason why I love that team, man. We said it earlier. I think Sabonis has got to be maybe, if not the most underrated guy in the league, one of. I mean, obviously people don't, have the respect for your offensive game the same as they do for the defensive game. And Brogdon epitomizes what you said of they don't care what you were in college. They don't care if you're a first overall pick. The guy's a second round pick and comes in and wins rookie of the year. I mean, how much are you three talking? Because you guys really are the focal point of the team about what the expectations are this year.
Well, we'll just go down the roster because you talk about being underrated. You still have guys like TJ Warren who hasn't played in a year.
Oh yeah.
And everybody remembers his bubble performance. Like that's TJ. Like that's him to a T. Then you got Karis LeVert, who is just one of the best one-on-one players I've seen in a long time. Then I was talking to my boy about today, Jeremy Lamb. He's one of the most offensively talented people I've seen ever. Like just being in practice or whatnot. Like he's just a certified bucket. You got guys like TJ McConnell, like heart and soul of the team. He comes out there, gives his all. You continue to go down the list, but those are the guys.
You're just listening, guys, and every time you list them in my head, I'm like underrated. Underrated.
Oh, I forgot about him. Oh, I forgot about over that. That's how it is in Indiana. It's like, oh man, I forgot that guy was there. Oh, this and that. That's kind of how this of our roster goes. But then you have the young guys, not a lot of people seen, and maybe not even heard, like Edmund Sumner. Edmund Sumner is one of the most explosive, players I've seen.
He's a great athlete.
But he can really score. He can really play. He locks up and he's competitive. We have all. If you look at us, on a depth chart, we have everything we need to be a great team. And now it's just about the chemistry. But going back to Domas, Domas is one of those guys. He's a brute. He plays at his level, and his father obviously was one of the better players that we never really got to see play. He did most of his damage in Europe, and he came out here towards the end of his career and was still killing. And then when you have that and it trickles down to your son, he's able to go out there and kind of implement the same stuff with the new age of basketball, the way he plays. It was very impressive, what he can do and bring to this team. It's an aggressive mindset. And then Malcolm's my guy. Malcolm's probably the guy I talk to the most of the team, point guard, one hit, run the show. So I go on and on and on, but we have the talent to be a great team.
Yeah, and now the health too, because LeVert's injury was an issue. Obviously, Lamb getting back to full health. TJ missed time, and McConnell, I would staple my pockets if I was next to that man. That guy has got the quickest hands. In another life, he was a professional pickpocketer. It is the 10-9 steals a game, at the half is bonkers what he's pulling off.
Yeah. And with Rick, coming in there, I think another thing that's just completely underrated about y'all's team is that everyone's willing to give up the rock. Such a great passing team. And Domas is an amazing passer. You're an excellent passing big. TJ had 18 assists one game. People, oh my gosh, people on social media are ridiculous. They're like, can't believe that guy got paid. And it's like, did you like just watch basketball? Like no one's willing to do it, you know?
That's a great little segue, because when I first got into the league, like they're the guys that I've never heard of, or the guys that I've never put in the game in on 2K, were the ones that was busting my ass the most. Everybody is like on a roster for a reason. If you're on a NBA team, you did something. You know, you're one of the best 450 players in the world. You did something to be on that team, and that's what doesn't get recognized enough. I remember, you guys might remember, his name was Luke Babbitt, white boy,
Oregon guy. Yeah,
Oregon guy. It was a bucket. I've heard of him before, but I've never actually like just watched him play. He used to like kill me, because I was when I first got into the league, I wasn't really accustomed to guarding the perimeter. I was only just like blocking shots, being the paint. I had to start guarding perimeter guys, so I was playing with Jan, and he was one of the guys like he would just get off, and I'm like, bro, who is this white boy? Like, he's just who is this white boy? Like, he's out here going crazy. And Jan was another guy. Like, I had heard of Jan, but in training camp, he was killing me. I was like, this is Jan Mahimi. Like, in my head, I'm like, it's not like one of the premier bigs, but he's a professional athlete. He's a professional NBA player. So I hate when I see like that on Twitter and stuff like that, where guys like, oh, you paid him $20 million for nothing, or he's a piece of shit. He's this, and that. It's like, bro, you have no idea how talented these guys are.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love one of my favorite videos I've seen recently in the past couple months is Scalabrini, who's hilarious. First of all, well retired, and some guy, young kid in the gym who's probably good at basketball, like, you know, for a guy who plays pickup at the Y, challenges him to a game, and he goes, "Dude, I'm an NBA player," and he's like, doesn't care, and then he just absolutely works him. And Scalabrini's older. Yeah, I mean, people they don't realize, and some of these guys, not everything shows up in the stat sheet either.
Jared Dudley had a really good quote.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because obviously he gets a lot of hate because, you know, he's like more heavier set, like kind of on his way out of the league or whatnot. And he was just saying, like, why? How is this guy on a team with LeBron James and this, and that? And he came back and said, well, like, whatever may be the case, I'm LeBron James to you. So, I'm LeBron James to you in comparison. I was like, damn, that was a bar. Like, this is kind of how it goes.
Yeah, that is a bar. I mean, Drake, we're recording on Friday. We're going to be releasing Tuesday, guys, because the holiday week. Oh, sorry, we're recording Thursday, releasing Tuesday because the holiday weekend. But Drake's album comes out at midnight, I believe. And I hope that is a bar on the album. If not, maybe we'll get it on the B side to get it in there. Cool. Myles, man, we love having you on the show. We always ask all our guests the same question before we let them rock and roll. Could be from anything. You playing, you watching, could be you when you're 5, could be you 3 weeks ago. What is your favorite sports memory ever?
Wow. Okay. Sports memory ever.
If you got a couple, that's cool.
I did. So one of them, we'll pull from the Dallas run. When Dirk caught, I think it was game 5, maybe game 6 against the Miami Heat in their championship run. I think it was like 5 seconds left, and like Dirk caught the ball at the elbow, dribbled all the way with his left hand, laid up on Chris Bosh, and it was a game winner. I remember watching that with my dad, and my dad was kind of going. He wasn't going against the Mavericks, but he wanted to see LeBron and them win. But I just remember like just looking at his face. He was like, damn, he's like defeated, but I was so happy. I was like jumping up and down. We watched in the living room. That was one of the ones that was cool. I got to experience with my dad. I think another one for me, baseball is like my first love. Like I absolutely love baseball.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like I have like a goal of like hitting every single MLB arena. Like I think I've only been to 9, so I have like a long way.
Have you been to Fenway?
Haven't been to Fenway. No, I haven't. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's good.
But no, I was playing, and I was probably like in 5th grade, and I was like one of the better guys on the team. Like I was like a heavy hitter, and I hit a walk-off like to win the game. And like my entire family was there, like my aunts, my cousins, my grandma, like mom, like everybody. And that was such a cool moment because like to see like the excitement, the joy in their face, to see that like I did that, like I brought that joy to their face. That was one of the things like kind of pushed me to continue just to keep playing or being an athlete in a sense. It's like the joy to other people in a sense. Like obviously I do this because I love it, it's fun, but you bring so much more, I guess, joy and elation to other people when they just really watch you. You got someone who's like just rooting for you in a sense, you know?
For sure.
So,
to that awesome baseball point, do you still follow baseball?
I don't follow it as close as I used to. Like if you ask me like who played on this team, this is that, I couldn't. But like when I was younger, I knew everything. Like, cause I played the video, everybody on every roster, who was this, who was that. But I still follow enough to like know like what teams is good and whatnot. You know?
Yeah. Have you ever thrown the first pitch out in a game?
I have. I threw the first pitch out the Rangers game here in Arlington.
Oh, hell yeah.
That was actually a good one. I didn't throw it super fast, but it got there. I did one when I first got drafted to Indiana. They have a I'm not sure if it's double or triple, but they have like a minor league team.
Yeah.
I went out there and I absolutely bombed that one. Like it was terrible. like I didn't realize how far away the mound was from the home. Watched on TV, it's like, oh, it's whatever. This shit it's hard, yo. It was really hard.
I mean, it can't be as bad as 50 Cent.
That, yeah, we were not gonna talk about that one. That was tough.
Yeah, that was brutal,
I just
man.
hard as I could, and it just went straight up. Like it was high, it just went straight up, like right over bro's head. I was like, oh.
He's
like, bro, I'm not as tall as you.
He just throws his mitt up in the air.
I pitched for one game, and my coach was like, let's stick you out there.
That's
awesome.
That's great, man. I love those kinds of memories, especially when a lot of pro athletes come on and their memories are always kind of from them just dominating in like little league, which is always hilarious.
Right.
All right, Myles, what your role, brother? Thanks for joining us. We loved having you on. Best of luck this season, man. Go kick some ass. We'll be pulling for the Pacers, and you down in the paint, man.
Big hook 'em.
Much love, yeah.
Big hook 'em horns, man.